Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Thought Leader Circle show. And y'all know that we have been doing these episodes in preparation for our IQONIK Talks virtual leadership conference, which is coming up on March 26th. And we are just really excited about it. So if you haven't gotten your ticket, I'm going to put this up here right now for you. Just go get your ticket, IQONIK Talks, iconictalks.com. Go get your tickets. Okay, so today we are going to be talking to one of our featured speakers. So one of our featured speakers is Dr. Deatrice D. Haney. And Dr. D is going to be talking about psychological safety and the importance of having inclusive cultures. That's going to be her topic at the conference. But before we jump into that, I want you to first know who she is. So I'm going to have Dr. D introduce herself.
Well, hello, everyone. Kelly, thanks again for allowing me to have this opportunity to be able to speak. My name is Dr. Deatrice D. Haney, aka Dr. D. I am a speaker that loves to just talk, all right? But I talk on a substantive matter. I just believe in cultivating conversations, just everyday conversations, and having a solution with those conversations. I speak on ranges of churches and corporate America to the community. I just speak in an array of, mediums that's out there. So I enjoy it, along with me being on the Board of Education here in my county and the great city of Jonesboro. It's been a pleasure doing that and just being able to see how I've evolved in spaces where I have to speak on behalf of our children, and even speaking on behalf of employees in corporate settings. So that's part of who I am, but also the fun side of me. I love to rock, my scarves, of course, my sneakers and everything. And I love to work out. So I'm just an energetic kind of speaker, but I am serious about what I talk about and try to bring solutions by positively impacting, inspiring, and influencing all generations in what I speak and what I do.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love that you're on the school board. I love that you're out in the community. I love looking at all of your posts. And, one of the things that I'm really excited about for IQONIK Talks and for the people who get their tickets and come to see is the wide range of expertise in all of the speakers, right? We have attorneys, we have PhDs, we have HR professionals, we have certified coaches, we have DEI experts, just a real range of really brilliant women who will be redefining leadership. And, as we were talking about your topic today, and as we're, just really encouraging people to come to the event, I want people to understand that leadership is first, not just by title, right? So many of us think, well, I'm not a leader. I don't need to come. I'm not a leader. They're talking about leadership. I don't have that title, but leadership is not a title, right? Leadership is something, we're all leaders in our own right, whether we're leaders in the workplace by title or not, leaders in our homes, in our communities, right? And so the topics that we're going to be addressing at IQONIK Talks, we're going to be talking about personal branding. We'll be talking about succession planning. We're talking about women's empowerment. We're talking about inclusivity and psychological safety. We're going to be talking about, systems and bias in systems and processes. We'll be speaking about, y'all, just so many things that we are going to be talking about at this conference. So it's a really, it's really well-rounded in terms of content. And what's different about this conference is, one, it's going to be fun because we don't do anything around here that's just not fun. And the speakers are going to be doing 20-minute power pack. When I say power pack, y'all don't want to miss a minute. Power pack talks. And for D, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm just going to tell you right now, if y'all want to hear a storyteller, somebody who, when you listen to her, you think this is spoken word, right? And spoken word around leadership and spoken word around the things that are happening in the workplace, you do not want to miss D. So D is our closing speaker. So I'm telling you, go grab your ticket, iconictalks.com. But D, let me throw it over to you now.
All right.
Let me ask you this question. why is it like you chose this topic? So when we started and we were talking about the conference from the very beginning, you were like, Kelly, authenticity, inclusivity, psychological safety. Why is that? Let's start first just talking about what those terms are and what they mean, so that we just set a foundation for everybody who's having the conversation. And then let's talk about like why those things are so important to you.
Okay, well, the psychological safety, I would say, theory came from Dr. Amy Latson, right? And so she developed this concept of saying that, employees, regardless of what space you're in, should feel free and safe to speak, to be able to share their ideas, their perspectives, and being able to do so in a safe space where there will be no retribution, where there will be no retaliation. And so I think that has played out. If you look at it when we were in the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, there was a lot of hush hush where employees were tensed. And then you could see that playing out during the pandemic, post pandemic, where the great resignation, as you see, and as you have conversations and as you speak to individuals within those organizations, those are some of the issues and challenges that pretty much played out into their organizations, where they didn't have the freedom to speak freely without that fear of gloom and loom over their heads. And so I just wanted people to understand. And by me doing so much research on that, I was like, okay. And then out of that evolved the authenticity. If employers and anyone in any space want you to bring your authentic self, bring your authentic self, but there should not be any type of harm by doing so. And that's what makes it so special, because we want to include everyone, not exclude. Because if you're going to say we're inclusive, that involves everything. Now, we know, let's pull the elephant out of the room. We know what a professional setting is. But at the same time, organizations need to understand that everyone brings something different to the table to make that so unique. But when employees don't feel like they can bring that without hesitation, then it holds them back, and it ultimately holds the organization back. And so I just believe in that concept that everyone should have a voice. And I believe that I'm the person that speaks for the voiceless. But at the
Yes.
same time, I just want to be able to bring awareness to that, and to capitalize on what Dr. Amy talks about. But at the same time, being able to bring in a framework that helps organizations, particularly people, leaders, to understand the depth of what psychological safety is.
Yeah. Because I think sometimes when we have these terms that come up, right? So psychological safety is a term that people are using. One, sometimes people don't understand what it means. But two, I feel that sometimes these terms, after a while, they will take on a negative connotation. So then people are like, I don't want to deal with that. That's just, they start to add things to it that it's not. And, one of the things that I was mentioning to you as we were waiting to come on is I started thinking about who you are out in the community, and, seeing you out with all the kids and, all the things that you do to really ensure that they have, equity and that they are being valued. And it made me start thinking about this whole idea of psychological safety and us talking about it in the context of the workplace. Right. And so many of these conversations that we have around leadership, even the conversations that we're going to be having at IQONIK Talks, we sometimes we confine those to the workplace. But as I was thinking about you and thinking about this conversation we were going to have tonight, I want you to talk to the importance of us really understanding the impact of people who don't feel safe when they're coming in to work, don't feel safe at work, and the people who are actually the ones who are perpetrating, right, the behavior that's causing people to be unsafe, and the cumulative and compounding effect that has, not just in the workplace, but in our communities at large.
I think it's vital in the community, because the community is at large. That's an array of individuals with diverse backgrounds and all type of, what they bring, experiences, as we like to say now, because we're moving away from DE and I we're going to say the experience now, but it's the experiences that they bring. And so I'll just use an example. When I have my advisory council meetings, there's an array of backgrounds. And I have to make sure as the facilitator to make it conducive where they're free to express themselves. Now, I put the housekeeping rules out there, but I want them to be able to come in and speak and voice whatever concerns they have, because it's ultimately impacting the children.
Yeah.
And so once they keep the focus there, and I make sure that the environment is safe and my speakers are accepting of that, of what the community is bringing to them without wearing their feelings on their sleeves, then that makes the environment more open. And that's when the community comes in and say, and like just recently, about 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting and they were like, Dr. D, this has been about the best meeting, because tempers were rising, and it wasn't a matter of being combative. It was just the passion that these parents and teachers or whomever was there that they had, because like I said, the end equation are the children. But at the same time, my panelists were very receptive of that because they felt that. And so they too made them belong. And the good thing about it, Kelly, what can come out of that, just what you said, is that we look at it always sometimes in a negative, but how the panelists included them to make those guests feel like, hey, we're together. They said, why don't you give us the ideas that you have? We'll have a separate meeting from what Dr. D does. And let us have a conversation where we can come up with some viable solutions to be able to implement within the district. And so when they said that, and they actually wrote it down, gave out cards, and there has been follow up, then they felt like, I truly belong. I'm not just someone who votes. I'm not just someone who's just speaking and coming to another meeting. No, there's some action. I always tell them the prerequisite is you can come and bring your ideas, but I need you to bring at least one solution. And maybe we can table it, maybe we can implement it. But when I bring that, I have to be the one that facilitate that. And then the room itself goes around. It's just like, it just goes like this, like a layered effect. And you're right. Sometimes we always want to box, confine something to the workplace. Though it's more prevalent there. However, it's still, when you go to a school, when you go to a church, it is still psychological safety, because there's a voice that's being said and heard and listened to. There is a person who is speaking. So you have to have regard to that and allow them to be who they are. And that's the authentic part about it. Allow individuals to be who they are. And once you do that, you'll be surprised at what the results will be. May not be what you want to hear, but at least you give them the opportunity to say, at least I have my voice to say something. And that's what I want to always try to give people, and allow them to do so as I go and speak, as I speak to leaders, as I speak to my community. So that's pretty much how I look at it.
Yeah. To your point about, might not be what you want to hear, but, people will feel safe. That's what happened after George Floyd was murdered, and all the companies were having, people like me come in and do listening sessions. People were finally free, right, to express what was happening, and also to really share their life experiences with the people who they work with every single day, who may not have those same life experiences, and who often think, oh, that's happening over there. I don't know anybody who that's happening to, when in fact, it might be somebody who's sitting right next to you, right? I remember doing one of the sessions, and one of the employees, a Black male, he was talking about the fact that he had left his office and he was walking down the street to go home, and he was profiled by the police, and he was put in handcuffs and all the things. And the people who were sitting, his coworkers, had no idea that this even happened. So now he's having this conversation and explaining, and now it becomes very real, right? And, when people don't feel safe in spaces to talk about things, when they don't feel that they're being valued or they're being heard, it really does stifle a lot, right? It stifles creativity. It stifles innovation. This is when you see people being less productive. And we attribute that sometimes to people being lazy, or, they just don't want to do anything, or the Great Resignation. They were like, people don't want to work. It's not that people don't want to work. They don't want to work there.
Right.
Right. They don't want to work there because things are really messed up. And to the point though of those listening sessions, right? One of the things that always would come up for me when I would talk to my clients is like, listen, we're not doing this if you're going to get the information and not do anything
And
with
not do
it.
anything
Right.
with it. Right.
So, to your point about creating these spaces, what is the danger when we create a space where we say, oh yeah, bring your authentic self to work. Oh yeah, we want to hear everything. And then people speak up. And on the backside of that, there's they're ostracized, they're
Ostracized.
retaliated against, they're just like poo-pooed, like don't listen to you. What is the danger of that?
The danger of that is, like you said, the great resignation. And people will quiet quit, as we now know. People will do just what they have to do and say nothing. And people begin to just shut down. And then when you do that, it is the backlash of the unwritten rule, as they say in corporate America. It's the unwritten rule. Don't speak to that person. And that's when, like the gentleman, he was cast. In corporate, you're stereotyped, and then you're blackballed. They'll tolerate you, but at the same time, it's a disregard to that. And people feel that. Just like they feel like they belong, they feel like when they don't belong. And so the backlash of that, and then when it's an opportunity, when they realize that person has a skill set that can help that situation, whatever it is at that time, now you want to lean back, but it's too late at that point, because now you've disregarded that individual who had a voice, still has a voice, but has just now silenced themselves. So it begins to be like what you said, it stifles not only the individual, but the organization. Everyone has to look at the end result. And ultimately, if you work in an organization, a service-based, the customer. Everybody say, well, customer focus, but your customers inside too. So you can't disregard one without the other. You have to acknowledge that. And when you acknowledge that, respect and value your employees and value it. Just put out this. Value people. Let's take the employee out. People. Value people. And it can't be a check mark, because people know when you're authentic and when they know you just flexing, so it's just like they know the difference, and so with the multi-generational, like one of my colleagues, attorney Lewaska, had said, we have 5 generations within the workplace. And so when you have 5 generations in the workplace, how could you exclude that? When it's constantly evolving, so you have to look at it in the totality and say, I can't, because this is going to be the repercussions of it. And those skill sets will either leave, quiet quit, and give you just a bare, and then that's it. Don't ask me nothing else. And then the question would be like, what's wrong? Right. See, that's passiveness. What's wrong? And then that's when that employee just either has a choice to lash or just don't even say anything. And sometimes it's just like, don't even worry about it. So it just, it has a curtailing effect of the negative, but at the same time, companies are losing that value. Would you want to just keep somebody there, train them, and then you silence them? That doesn't balance out,
Yeah. I want to, those are really, really great points. And I want to go back to the whole idea where you talk about the customer, because it's one of the things that when I think about doing, training and building conversational cultures, particularly in industries where there is truly like an external customer, when you're talking about like retail and hospitality and restaurants, and we think about that in terms of like the customer, and we know the saying, right? The customer is always right. But we forget that inside of our organizations, our employees, our leaders, those are internal customers. And so if the customer is always right, why is it that inside of an organization, we don't have that same thing? Now we know they ain't always right. Right. But we do in organizations take a lot of time to have customer service training, especially when the external customer has a particular direct line, right, to your bottom line, a direct connection. And so, I love that you said that in terms of having these, really realizing that you do have an internal and external customer. And then the other thing that you said was around, forget the word employee, forget the word leader, people. We are all people. Right. And I think we so forget that sometimes, that we come in, because even we think about corporations being the entity, but that entity is filled with people. right? And so if the people in there don't feel safe and it's impacting them in their life, they take that outside too, right? They
Mhm.
take that into their community. So when you are thinking about um, how organizations should be thinking about psychological safety and implementing a culture, right,
Mhm.
where people feel psychologically safe, where they feel included, what would you say to leaders who are like, I don't even know where to start? Like, I think, I understand that this needs to happen, but where would I start? What would you tell them?
But first of all, I tell them I have a framework. I have a safe space framework that looks at that digs into that. And that's the buzzword dig into. But at the same time, it looks into that where we look at how, first of all, we're going to look at the people processes. What processes do you have to be able to galvanize employees to talk, first of all? So it goes hand in hand when we look at those people processes and we dig and we look at the data or the data from wherever you are, the data on that, and we really look at it, those pain points, because case in point, if you do an employee survey every other year and it's the same results every other year, nothing has changed. So if you're going to say we're here, and it's a matter of, I tell them employers, your questions are kind of tricky because if it's
Mm,
going to end up being skewed. So when you look at data and if you ask a certain question and it's here, and then the bottom line is here, whereas, oh, we're not really meeting the needs of our employees, then either look at the question or really look at what you're trying to get out of the question.
mm,
So you look at that. So we look at the people processes, then we look at the data. And then, first of all, we have to look at communication. How are we really communicating? Is it just to check a box, or are we acting on those very two that I just mentioned, the people process as well as looking at the data? Because if you can't communicate, because people read you, you can speak verbally, you can speak non-verbally, the emails, it's all of that. Employees look at everything. They look between the lines, over the lines. They look at everything and they read that. And so, with
mm,
that bottom line to it, and another fourth part of that would be the accountability piece. Everyone is accountable. Everyone in the organization is an employee. And like you said earlier, everyone is a leader, regardless if you're
mhm,
the CEO to the individual contributor. Everyone is accountable for their growth as well as the growth of the organization they work for. And so they have to look at that. And so I want organizations to understand, hey, we can look at this and we have to really be open minded,
mhm.
because when we read the data, you can't get offended. It's only to help you. Now, if you don't want to be helped, then that's on you. But I'm here to help bring a solution as to why employees are leaving, or why employees are quiet quitting, why employees have shut down. What is the cause of it? No one wants
Mhm.
to talk about the cause of it. They want to create the space for it, but no one wants to talk about the cause. And so when we get behind those closed doors and have those discussions, it's going to be some hard conversations that's going to have to come up. And it's going to also, as we learn that Maslow says, self-actualization. You got to look at yourself as an individual, as a leader. You have to look at yourself. We talk about the self-awareness. Okay, David Goldman, we get that, the self-awareness, but are we really looking within
Mhm.
ourselves to be able to go out into the masses? Because once employees see that, they'll see if you're genuine or you're authentic, and that word transparent, we have to be careful with that. We have
Yeah.
to really be careful with that, because we get that kind of skewed too, because you can't tell everything. So just say what I'm privy to say rather than being transparent, because employees gonna want, hey, tell us everything the CEO is telling you all.
Right.
And if you don't, that's not transparent. So
Right.
we have to
Right.
really
We have
be
to
careful
we
with
have
the
to set
buzzwords.
boundaries and
Yeah,
define terms as to
yes, you have to be careful. Like you said earlier, you have to be careful with those buzzwords, because
yeah,
I'll take it like, I don't know what the board of directors said. Well, I can't tell. Well, you're not being transparent. You just tell me what you're privy to tell me, and
that's
then
right.
we'll go from there. And so I believe that's what organizations have to understand. Using the simple as that, buzzwords can
Mhm.
really skew how employees look at their space. Well, this is not safe enough me to
Yep.
say anything. I'm just not going to even say anything. And those are the brilliant ones. I'm like, they wouldn't have hired you if you weren't brilliant. But you
Yep.
can't say anything. Come on, Mr. Employer, we got to do better. So,
So
yeah.
listen, you all, do you see the, and she's gonna do this in a story. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. She's going to do this like as a storyteller, right? Not D. Tell the people why they should get their tickets for Iconic Talks. Like, get their tickets now. I know it's virtual, so we often wait until the last minute. But before I have Dee tell you that, I want to just say this. If you get your tickets now, one of the other things that we've done to make this experience unique is that each of the speakers has created exclusive content that you get as an attendee. So we've created, once you get into our list, you'll be on our email list for this purpose so that you will get all of the content. So there's ebooks and there's articles, there's all kinds of things that the speakers have created for you so that you can get to know them better. Because one of the things that I always think about when you go to conferences, it'll be great to know more about the speakers, to hear them speak, to hear, to really see if they have a depth of knowledge. And what I know that you can tell from all of the featured speakers that we have spoken with so far on Thought Leader Circle is that they're not Google level, right? This is not Chat GPT. This is expert thought leader status in terms of their base of knowledge and their ability to communicate what they'll be speaking about at the conference. So Dee, tell the people why they need to come and get their tickets today. Like, stop playing around.
Stop playing. You need to get your tickets today. I mean, my colleagues, we just, as we say, we busting it out. But no, I mean, the ladies are, I have to give props to them. We talk and we have conversations, but I'm learning so much from them. That's the impact of it, because we're learning from each other. And these women bring vast amount of experiences to the table, and it's just so diverse. I mean, really diverse, and to the point where we can come together and funnel it down. But when you hear what they bring, and I'm not just blowing smoke, I'm for real, they bring the smoke, and I'm just like, these women are awesome. I mean, you have an attorney, you have an HR professional, you have a former bank executive, you have an entrepreneur. I mean, you have all two entrepreneurs. I mean, all of us are, but at the same time, just specialize in those areas. And to hear their stories, to hear their theories, and to even hear how their frameworks are set up. And it's one of my colleagues, she has an ocean framework. I was like, ocean and boat. I like, ocean, then one bringing a siren. I mean, it's just, processing the wheels and all this and how this really plays out. And it's just like, all of that goes back to people. It goes back to people, and you all are included in that. And I know you all have experiences. And hey, the fun part about this, you get to ask us questions. It's going to be set up for you to ask questions, and we will follow up with you. And it's just that amazing. So we want you all to be able to get the tickets today. Stop playing. Come on now, get the tickets today. We want to see you on the big screen so we can see you. And you can even take your picture to do a screenshot that you were there. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm bringing my energy, bring your energy, and we're just looking forward to having a good time.
We are going to have a great time. And like you said, Dee, it will be interactive. So as I mentioned at the beginning, they will be doing 20-minute talks, but after every talk, I will be interviewing the speakers in what we call iconic moments. So you'll get to know a little bit more about them. You'll be able to ask them questions. And if you get the VIP ticket, then we'll have a full Q&A with all of the speakers at the end of the day. So after all of the speakers have gone. So we have 7 speakers. We have each one doing iconic moments. We'll start the day with a fireside chat with me, and Dr. Renee Baker is going to interview me. We'll end the day with me interviewing our MC, who is Sharonda Brown. So Sharonda is a client of mine. All of the women who are speaking on the stage are in my Thought Leader Circle program. So they're all my clients. And I'm really excited to have the opportunity to elevate, affirm, and amplify their voices. Like the brilliance in the room and the dedication, because poor them. I didn't realize that Super Bowl Sunday was when Super Bowl Sunday was, and I scheduled our rehearsal, and they showed up all in their glory and in full force and doing their presentations. They did get out in time to go see Usher, so don't feel bad for them. They did get to see Usher. But but I'm really excited about what we are creating. I'm really excited about people getting to see all of you. And listen, for those of you who are like, I'm not in this, come just to see, because I know y'all want to see. Come just to see and to support. It's in March 26th. It's virtual, so wherever you are, you can watch it. We'll be live here in Orlando, but the event itself for our attendees is virtual. Tickets right now are at the early bird rate. They're going to go up. So make sure that you grab your ticket. You can go to iconictalks.com. I'm actually going to drop it in the comments. It should show up everywhere where we are right now, but it's IQONIK talks.com. And we're going to have a DJ. Listen. And you get
Yes.
virtual swag. Let me see what's already in the virtual swag. There's some ebooks in the virtual swag. Our presenting sponsor. So I want to thank our presenting sponsor for the conference. Dr. Carwana Irving, and she is the CEO of She's Got Goals, and so she helps women get government contracts. She has a giveaway. So we're going to do giveaways also. She has an amazing giveaway for 10 people. You don't want to miss that. So there's lots of stuff that's going to be happening. You want to make sure that you're in the place. Dr. D is just one of the 7 amazing speakers or iconic speakers who's going to be there. So grab your ticket. Don't delay. Don't wait. Get it now so that you already know that you're going to be in the place, and also so that you can start to get the additional content that we have created for you to really enhance this experience. So go to iconictalks.com, IQONIK talks.com. And if you want to be a sponsor like Dr. Carwana, or you want to exhibit, we'll have virtual exhibitors. We have that opportunity too. All you gotta do is reach out or go to the website and you will be able to link up with us for that. So Dr. D, any last thoughts before we jump off tonight?
I just want you all to be able to come out. You can reach me though. Hey, if you want me to come out, hey, I can be reached at Dr. D at drdhaney.com. So you can just email me and we'll have a chit chat and we'll just go from there. And I'll share my safe space framework with your organization. And I look forward to it. So, hey, I want you all, again, come on, register. The link is already scrolling by me. It's on a marquee. It's just doing its thing. So we need you to do your thing and register for this conference. It's going to be awesome.
Yes. All right. So we will be interviewing all of the speakers. So stay tuned, watch this space, and you will be able to meet all of the speakers before the event on March 26th. And that's it for now. Thank you for joining the Thought Leader Circle show with me and Dr. D. Haney today. Y'all have an amazing day and go grab your tickets now.
Okay.